So, okay.
We are recording. Hello, everybody. I'm Brian Cohort. I use the pronouns he and they. I am in Portland, Oregon, on the land of the Cowlitz and Clackamas people. And right now I have a headache, but I won't let that bother me. And maybe this singing will actually help me a little bit more. So I'm happy to be sharing this song with you guys. So here's our first song of our course, Oromawaijin. Oromawaijin muaranguan. Oromawaijin. Fagin my dearest time which conshul Oromawaijin. Aroma gergin aroma waidin. Is all in loe amuaranguan aroma waidin. Ektaring, tektaring, tektaring, skobuan. Oromo waidin. Oromo gerkin. Oromo waidin. Bailam eish kainyanesh egantach. Oromo waidin. Bailam eish kainyanesh egantach. Oromo waidin. Oromo gergin oromo waidin. Tantius gansen mal ist haben wir gesagt. Oromo waidin. Ta kalago kyun is muidishtach. Oromo waidin. Oromo gergin oromo waidin. There you go. I need to do some prompt naps. Gently rock in your place. Move your hands and your feet. Maybe push yourself up to a side position. Ease out of your yoga mat. So there you go. That was me. Would either of you like to comment?
Good Mahagat, thank you. I definitely got up way too soon. It's like, oh, I missed the gentle coming out of it that you were presenting with us, Brian. um, hmm. Yeah, maybe we can just sit with that for a moment too. Just notice anything that you're feeling. in your bodies. Talk about sensations in the first week. What are you noticing now? Hmm. Hmm. You're welcome to write that down or just keep track of it in your mind. Okay. So I think we're going to start with some shares now. So we had a week a week since it opened. I know some folks have hopped on a little later, um, and so no worries if you haven't gone through everything yet. Just really excited that you're here. Um, so you're welcome to share about this experience that you just had, if you'd like, or anything that's coming up for you. But I'm gonna go first just to kind of give like a little layout and um, yeah. So I'm wondering, Jeanette, can you put the questions in the chat? So I'm River. I don't even know if I said my name yet. Do you want to just hear me talk and not know my name? I'm River. My pronouns are they, them. I am in Nishan Territory, so-called Sacramento, California. I'm going, so for timing, I'm going to time myself. I feel like really lullaby out. Let's see. I'm going to give myself 4 minutes here. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, so river, they, them. Um, yeah. I think this week, what I noticed when I was doing the experiments, which the song I felt really compelled to just listen to. Would only hum along here and there if I felt like I wanted to know. I was curious if there was like an impulse to like just follow it. So I didn't really have an impulse to look at the words, the PDF that was attached to the song or to really study it as much and to like the learning, but just to listen to Brian and to just see what happens. And so I noticed that there was this natural desire, and same for this time around, to just hum along at certain parts that felt familiar over listening to it for some time. Um, I did notice um, I had a really interesting first time. I felt really distracted, and so then I listened to it again and put on my headphones. And I noticed I every time I have this rocking movement that I want to do. Um, and I had, I remember feeling it was like a triangle, like here, of this alive, um, I would say it was radiating out, like maybe just like an inch or so, kind of feelings. And then it was the same on my back, except for my back, it felt like there were people putting their hands on my back. And I felt like it felt good and exciting, like, oh, this is something I've always wanted to learn or to do, but I didn't know what songs or where to start, or I don't yeah, I wasn't sure what who to follow, and so I was like, "Oh, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for and wanting for a long time." And I'm really excited to listen to a song. I'm just learning Irish and coming familiar with it, but like not exactly knowing what the song is. Felt really good just to be with the lyrics. I think right now I felt very similar feelings of some relaxation and especially in my hips and in my ass. And Yeah, and then there is this part of me that feels a little frustrated with myself, like, I wasn't doing the experiment as much as I wanted to, and I felt kind of like a bad whatever feelings come up around, like, "You're not doing the work," but, I know it doesn't really matter, just, like, as it comes along, but that was interesting to kinda confront that a little bit, and, yeah, I feel like that's kind of I feel a lot in my face actually right now, like heat a little bit, not uncomfortable. Like just little sleepiness, I would say. Restful eyes, but I'm here and feel alert. I might close my eyes. I'm here and I'll I listen to all of your shares. I think that's it. It's pretty much my time. So thank you for listening, for being a loving witness to my share. And yeah, maybe we could just take a breath or a stretch in between each person's share. So hold on for hopping right into the next one. So I'm going to be the time top, which is a fun thing for me. And I'm going to try my best with this. We'll see how this goes. But if you're wondering, I would say about like 30 seconds ish or so. I'm going to hold up these glasses across the screen. Or if you're like, I can't do that or don't want to do that, River, can you just, unmute yourself and tell me when there's a little bit of time left? I can do that as well. But this is the main time cue. And if you need another time cue when it's your turn, because I know you don't have to share also at all. So after Jeanette shares, we'll just see who wants to go next, and you can always say no, and then come back another time later on, or you don't have to share at all. So, with that, I'm gonna hand it off to Jeanette.
Hi, I'm Jeanette. I'm on New Chalmers territory in a place called Sumas, and I had to move from the outside because someone was cutting down a tree. Um, let's see, my pronoun is she, her, and I. It's interesting because I've been looking forward to this for like 6 months, and I found myself really dragging my feet. Like I didn't really want to sing the song, and I always thought that I would want to do it in the morning and see how my day shifted or do it in the middle of the day. But I kept avoiding it. And so eventually I was like, okay, I'm just going to listen to it before bed. And I got in bed and I listened to it and I had this like really intense experience. And it was interesting because I don't think I would have listened to it in bed had it not been for the fact that I'd been avoiding it. Um, and so I, as this like happy accident, had this entirely different experience because I didn't plan it or think about it. And so I listened to it in bed, and my partner was asleep, and my dog was on the bed, and I closed my eyes. And when I was really little, my parents would put on lullabies when they would leave my room, like on a tape. And so I felt like strangely transported back to that. And I felt this like warm and tingling in like this area, so like just above my, like kind of parallel to my nose and out, and my cheeks got warm and tingly. And then I started to like, I didn't feel like I was crying, but my eyes were tearing up. um and my body kind of relaxed, and so I decided to just kind of keep following that. And I do know that at the very start of the experiment I started to learn it, and I'm also learning Irish, but reading the words in Irish, not with the phonetics, and trying to read it, I had like a sort of a panic. Um, and I was okay until the word that sounds like foggy. And then I was like, that word is too different than how it's written in my brain, and I am freaking out. And so I was like, I'm going to try not to psych myself out by trying to learn the words that way, and instead do learn Irish how I learn Irish, which is basically being illiterate, so never looking at the letters. and then looking at the letters later, which I find a lot easier. So I found that listening to it was really relaxing in this way, where my body would get kind of heavy, but only if I listened and didn't try to sing. If I listened and tried to sing, it shifted me out of sensing my body and feeling that experience. So um, I think I'm going to keep listening to it at night. I really enjoyed that experience quite a bit. And just now, I listened to it outside on my porch swing and like rocked myself as I listened. And I would highly recommend if anyone has a hammock or something they can rock in, because that added like a layer I did not expect. And also was a happy accident because I couldn't think of where in my house I would want to record. And so I was like, I'll sit outside. So yeah, if you can rock, I highly recommend. And then that's also my last share. So good timing with the glasses.
You do have like 30 seconds, but it's just.
That was basically it. It's kind of like, oh yeah, the other thing I would say is I had that profound experience of feeling it like the lullaby and then immediately wanted to disconnect and not go there. Like the first time I listened to it and felt the really intense like experience of the lullaby, it was like too intense and too honest and opened up too much feeling that I was like, oh, I'd like to distract myself now with something for a while. So I'm excited to like sit in that space.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we're gonna stop the recording. And yeah, breath movement.
Okay, we're recording again. So it was lovely to hear everyone's experience because it brought to mind what it was like when I first heard these songs when I was a teenager. And those kind of experiences were so emotionally connected to my heart space that I think it's what has kind of kept me on this journey to continue singing traditional songs. And it certainly was what led me into the Irish language and being able to follow that to a journey that ended in well, that's continuing, but I'm to a level of fluency now that I have a lot of access to things that I would otherwise not have access to. So I'm really grateful for that. But I didn't. This is a song that I actually recently learned for a program that I do for teaching Irish through an organization based in DC. And like what Sienna was saying, it was very similar. Like I knew a version of this song, but I didn't know this song. And this particular song called to me because of my relationship geographically to a place where Joe Heaney lived. And so I thought it would be worthwhile learning it. And in learning it and realizing that his version connected me in such a different way than the previous version that I had heard. So when I sing this song, I feel it very much deep in my chest. And so it's close around my heart space, and it reverberates here. And then it pushes itself up into the tops of my head. And that feels to me like a big sigh when I jump into that higher register. And it's like a skylark. You just kind of like make loops as you come back down to the tonic of the song. So we start low, and then the oros start, they go high like a skylark, and then kind of drift. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with the skylark. I don't know if we have them here in North America or not, but they generally fly up really high and they use the thermals and just make cascading spirals back down. So I feel like this connects with that concept of rising tones and then falling. The boating concept is very much there. As I mentioned in the video, I used to race current, and it's a very thin layer between you and the ocean. And so you hear the water through the skin of the boat. And that is really different from hearing it through something like plexiglass or, metal. It's so you get a sense of being really in, not just on the water, but in the water, especially because you're sitting below the water in many cases when you're racing and when you're pulling on those oars. But the idea of the language there of pulling, tarint is that Irish word for pulling. And while in many ways we say tarint when you're pulling oars, tarint is also what the current does, or the tide does when it pulls you away or pulls you out. And so this natural rock in my body is really kind of embodying that experience of being in a boat. And hearing the water through, lapping, and also just like the stillness of being away. One of the things that's always been a profound experience for me growing up as a river rat and someone that also canoed coming from the state of Missouri. We have navigable rivers like no other state, which is great. But is I'm always curious at how quiet being in a boat and movement is, because so many of the other ways that we move in vehicles or on bikes, we generate this noise, and on water it's just completely silent. So all these things still are in my body when I'm singing the song, and I feel like it's kind of, I'm being pulled to emotional corners, and so my body responds kind of with those ornaments that Anya was talking about, um, and also the rocking in my body that happens, and then each kind of those courses at the end, they go through that skylark thing again, where you kind of, you're pushing, I feel like I'm pushing through this emotional content of the story, and then the chorus comes, and the chorus is like this big sigh where you're just relaxing out. So that's what I'm experiencing when I'm singing the song.